So we're back with the story of the day, and we're picking up with We've Only Gone and Hit an Iceberg from Michael Morpurgo's Casper, Prince of Cats. My life as a stowaway didn't last long. It took me a while to understand that I was in the first class part of the ship, and when I did, I discovered it wasn't all that easy to blend in with the first class passengers all around me. Everyone was travelling in their finery and dressed as I was in my uniform of a Savoy bellboy. I stuck out like a sore thumb. They even moved differently, as if they belonged there, as if they had all the time in the world. Maybe you need a lifetime to learn how to look nonchalantly wealthy. For a while, the uniform actually helped. I could pass myself as a steward, and, of course, that was easy enough for me. I knew well enough how not to touch my forelock, how to help old ladies down the stairs, how to point out to people where to go, even if I hadn't a clue where anything was. For the first hour or so, as the other passengers explored the decks and the ship, that was what I did too, until I began getting some strange looks from some of the crew and some of the other stewards who clearly thought my uniform was a bit strange. I knew that sooner or later I'd be rumbled, that my luck couldn't hold out for long if I went on pretending to be one of them. So I realised that if I stayed in first class, I was bound to bump into one of the Santon family, and I wasn't sure at all how they would respond if they discovered I'd been a stowaway. I could see the steerage passengers all crowded on the lower deck, at the stern, at the end of the ship. They were more of my own kind. I thought I'd be safer there, so that's where I headed. I took on my tunic and cap, and when no one was looking, I dropped them over the side of the ship. Then I vaulted over the rail and tried to mingle in among the steerage passengers as best as I could. We were well out of the sea by now. The last of England was fast disappearing over the horizon. The sea was a flat, calm, silver blue lake. No one was paying me any attention. They were all enjoying themselves far too much to know I was even there. You only had to use your eyes and ears to know that some of the steerage passengers came from all over the world. There were Irish, Chinese, French, Germans, Americans, and quite a few London Cockneys too. I was feeling much more at home already. I went below deck, and after a long search, at last found myself an empty berth in the dormitory at the bottom of the ship. There were a few men in there, but they paid me little attention. I was lying down, my hands behind my head, my eyes closed, the ship's engines throbbing through me, believing absolutely I'd got away with it, when everything went badly wrong. I heard voices, loud voices, voices of authority. I opened my eyes and saw two sailors coming through the dormitory. "We're looking for a stowaway. Have you seen him? He's kind of a Japanese-looking fellow." One of them stopped by the table where some men were sat playing cards. "Has he come through here? Little fellow he is. We know he's down here somewhere." I think I would have been fine if I hadn't panicked. I think I pretended to be asleep. I didn't look Japanese. They wouldn't have bothered me. But I didn't think. I got up and ran, and then they came after me, hollering at me. I took to the stairs. I took the deck 3 at a time. Once up there, I hid in the first place I found. Of course, it was the most obvious, and therefore the most stupid place I could have chosen, a lifeboat. Inside, I saw a Japanese man sitting at the far end, knees drawn up under his chin, rocking backwards and forth, gnawing at his knuckles. And that was where, only minutes later, the two of us were discovered, caught like rats in a trap. We were not treated at all kindly as we were hustled along the decks, but at least I felt we had sympathy of the other steerage passengers. All of the booing and jeering seemed directed more at our sailor escorts than us. Both of us were taken to the captain. Captain Smithy was called, and there were 3 other men there already. So there were 5 of us in all stowaways. An Italian, I remember, who spoke very little English, the Japanese man, and 3 Englishmen, myself among them. From behind his desk, the captain looked at us warily, out of deep-set, sad eyes. With his great beard of calm bearing, he looked every inch a sea captain. He didn't curse us or berate us as the sailors had. "Well, Mr. Lightertoller," he said to the officer standing behind him, "so we've got 5 of them, have we? Not as many as I'd feared. What shall we do with them then? Where do we need them most, would you say?" Down below in the engine room, Captain, the officer replied. Stokers. We're short of a dozen stokers at least. And if you want to make full speed, as you say, if you want to make this crossing a record time, as you say, then we could do with them down below. Looking at them, I say they're a bit on the thin and spindly side. There's nothing we can do about that. The captain looked right at me. Why did you do it? He asked me. I told him the truth, part of it anyway. I had nothing to lose. Because I didn't want to leave the ship, sir. She's so beautiful, and everyone says she's very fast too. And I've never been on a ship before. Well, I have, son, laughed the captain. Dozens of them. And you're right. This one is fast, the fastest ship ever sailed, and what's more, she's unsinkable too. Very well, Mr. Lysatola, you will have these men to work their passage to New York as stokers. It will be hot work and hard, gentlemen, and for this you will be fed and looked after well enough. Take them away. So began the hardest 3 days I've ever worked in my life. My body ached so much, every bone, every muscle, every joint. My hands never bled so much either, open blisters on every finger. It was never so hot and dirty, never so complete. I've never been so hot and dirty, never so completely and utterly exhausted. The stokers about me were strong men, big men, muscle-bound. Stripped to the waist, as we were, I felt like a sparrow among the eagles. The pounding thunder of the engines in my ear was deafening. The blast of the furnaces scorched my skin. But, for all this discomfort, I somehow found it the most exciting and invigorating place I'd ever been. Every time I looked up at those great boilers, those great pistons driving, I marvelled at them, at the power and the beauty of it all. And believe it or not, as I shovelled coal for hour after hour in that stifling heat, there was only one thought that kept me shoveling. It was me driving these mighty engines, Johnny Trott. I wasn't a bellboy anymore. I was a man among men, and our muscles were firing the boilers that were powering engines, that were turning the screws, that were driving the fastest ship the world had ever seen across the Atlantic. I felt proud of the work I was doing. My fellow stokers ribbed me mercilessly from time to time, for I was the baby among them. I didn't mind. They ribbed the little Japanese man too, until they discovered that, small though he was, he could shovel more coal than any of us. He was called Micha, and we all called him Little Mitch, and he was littler than me. Maybe because we had been fellow stowaways, or maybe because we were about the same size, we became quite good friends. And tomorrow we'll pick up the rest of that chapter, but I thought I'd share with you that beautiful illustration of them stoking the engines under the Titanic.